When it comes to worship, not everything has to sound like emo pop music from the 2000s. There is a whole world of musical expressions available to us, but it will take a little bit of work from us to learn to play in new ways. When we look at the question of what music is, well, a good definition would be the artistic combination of sound and silence. Silence is relatively easily achieved, although often it's something that beginners totally forget about. Sound is the harder part of music to master. The sounds you produce will be comprised of essentially 4 elements: pitch, rhythm, volume, and texture. So let's look at pitch. Sound is created by vibration. The faster the vibration, the higher the pitch. The slower the vibration, the lower the pitch. The speed of the vibration is called the frequency, and the higher pitches have a special tonal and emotional quality, and lower pitches also have a distinct tonal and emotional quality. When you double the frequency, you go up an octave. When you halve the frequency, you go down an octave. And between the 2 notes of an octave, Western music has 12 notes or tones. And we can use these tones to create chords and runs and scales and all kinds of passages. And so that's pitch. Pitch is notes. And most of the time, unless you're a drummer, when you're playing music, you're playing notes. As I said, there's 4 elements: pitch, rhythm, volume, and texture. So we've looked at pitch. Now let's look at rhythm. When you have a single note on its own, there is no rhythm. The moment you put 2 notes or beats one after the other, you've created a sense of rhythm. Most Western music has a fairly predictable rhythm. We divide it into sets of 3, 4, or 6, and we repeat that. If you've ever heard someone say 4/4 or 6/8, that's what they're talking about. These are time signatures that describe the groupings of the beats in music. 3 is a waltz, not commonly used in worship because of its umpapa feel. Great is Thy Faithfulness is an exception to that, and it's a great tune in 3/4 that we can sing in church. 4 is the regular rhythm, the most common in praise and worship. You can clap to this, you can dance to this. It works whether you're going fast or slow. 6/8 combines the feel of a 2/4 and a 3/4, so like a march and a waltz combined. And it's the epic ballad rhythm. Songs like Indescribable, Great Are You Lord, these are songs that play out in 6/8. Another aspect of rhythm is tempo. So not just what the beat is, but how fast or slow these groups of beats pass by. Most beginners speed up a lot. Be careful to only do that if you mean to. Rhythm is important. The speed at which we play is important. And these are things we need to think about, not just for the songs we play, but also the improvised, spontaneous worship that we play between the songs when people are worshiping in the Spirit. If you don't think about the rhythm and you don't think about the pitch, then you're not thinking about the music you're playing. And so these are important things to consider. The next one to think about is volume. It is really important to consider how loud you are playing. It's true of drummers particularly that when they start out, they have no clue how to play quietly. But all musicians need to learn how to use loud and soft. When I say volume, I don't mean the volume knob on your instrument or the volume of a PA. I mean the difference of volume that you can produce with your fingers or the breath in your lungs. Within your vocal cords, you can create volume. Volume isn't just about being heard, it's also about tone. Quiet singing sounds different to loud singing. It has a different tonal quality to it. It might be you need your microphone turned up so you can sing quietly, or turned down so you can sing loudly. Quiet playing sounds different to loud playing. Like your voice, it also has different tonal qualities. Adjustments to the volume of our playing is called playing with dynamics. In your practice times, experiment with using dynamics. And when you're playing during worship, think about the volume of your playing. Next, we could look at texture. In church, often the most overlooked aspect of creating musical sound is the texture, also called timbre or expression. Texture, as with fabrics or carpet samples, has to do with how much rough and smooth the music has. There are Italian terms like staccato, which is detached music, or legato, which is like smooth music. And we might also use expressions like smooth, gentle, rhythmic, percussive, or muted. Texture has a lot to do with how we introduce the moments of silence. For example, if I play staccato, it's not just that I play the notes suddenly, but it's I stop the notes suddenly, and the silence appears quite jarring in that moment, and that creates an interesting effect. If I play legato, it's not just that I play the note gently or smoothly, but also I allow it to continue smoothly, and it gradually fades out far less abruptly. So we can experiment with different textures in our playing. What does it sound like to mute your notes? What does it sound like to let your notes ring out? When you're playing guitar, you can palm mute. If you're playing bass, you can mute the strings and get quite different sounds. Interestingly, also on a guitar instrument, whether it's a bass or an acoustic or an electric guitar, where you play the string on the neck is going to create very different sounds. So if you're playing right by the neck, it has a much more woody and warm tone. If you're playing right by the bridge, you have a much more metallic and sharp tone. These differences are all part of texture, and we can add these things. So combining the dynamics of loud and soft playing with different textures and rhythms is what adds the emotions, suspense, and drama to our music. So when we're practicing, play and experiment with all of these things so we can create music that really helps the congregation to worship God. Music can have emotion in it, music can have beauty in it, it can have majesty in it, it can have joy in it, and the way we help interpret all of these emotions is through the way we play.